I call this meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. To start the meeting, I'll read the township land acknowledgement. The township of Adjala-Tosorontio, situated on the lands within the Treaty 18, being the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people, including the Ojibwe, Odaatwa, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. This land is home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We acknowledge Indigenous people as stewards of the land, and we honor their resilience as well as their culture and all of our shared respect for the lands, plants, animals, and waterways which sustain us all. We recognize the injustices against Indigenous people and are mindful that the decisions of government impact our shared land and all the inhabitants. We commit to reconciliation as a journey, foster Indigenous cultural awareness and educational opportunities, establish respectful and healthy relations with Indigenous people, continue to steward the land of its inhabitants, and cultivate an inclusive community for all. Are there any additions to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to item number 3. That's the adoption of the agenda. The next item is 1.3, the adoption of the agenda. The recommendation reads that the agenda for the Community Development and Event Committee held on Monday, October 27, 2025 be adopted as present. Can I get a mover, please? Seer, can I get a seconder, please? Councillor Cox, any questions? All those in favor? Carried. Next item is on the agenda is disclosure of pecuniary interests. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interests? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 5. The recommendation reads that the minutes for the Community Development and Event Committee held on Monday, August 18, 2025 be adopted as presented. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Cox, can I get a seconder, please? Seer, any questions? All those in favor? Carried. We'll move on to item number 6. We'll now move to 6.1, which is our Rural Ontario Development Program grant, community development update. I'm going to turn it to the Deputy Clerk to provide us with an update on this grant.
So at the October 8th, 2025 regular council meeting, council approved the Community Development and Event Committee recommendation and directed staff to submit an application for the Mirror project to showcase the cultural heritage of the township through the Rural Ontario Development Program grant stream. The intake deadline is February 26, 2026 at 5 p.m.
That's very positive. That's exciting. Is there anything else that needs to be done on our end, or is it left to staff?
It's now left to staff.
Perfect. Thank you. Now we'll move to general business item 6.2, the 2026 outdoor movie night update. Deputy Clerk to provide us an update on this event.
So at the October 8th regular council meeting, council approved the Community Development Event Committee recommendation for an outdoor movie night event. The committee can allocate the budget in the new year with the Canada Day budget, and the committee can review the event's calendar on the township website to determine the date of the event.
Is that something that we should be discussing now, or is that at a future time?
So that would be at the time you allocate the budget. So that would be in the new year when you have a new budget to work with. But in terms of canvassing dates, you can canvass that now, or you can wait till next year when the council committee calendar gets approved. And then that way you can figure out which date works best for the event.
Sounds good. I know at our last meeting, when we were kind of talking about dates, we were kind of thinking like that middle of August kind of thing, not too close to the long weekend. And I think the weekend that's after Potato Festival will kind of be that August 14th, kind of in the middle. I guess that's something maybe we can look at once that calendar's finalized. We'll now move to general business item 6.3, the community development and event survey results. You saw that the results were included with our agenda. You It looks like there has been 4 people that filled out the survey, looking possibly one being a test at that time. We were able to collect some feedback. It looks like a lot of the events that we had in place were things that they enjoyed. Some of the popular things is the live music, the fireworks, the games, the demonstrations, the vehicles, having activities for kids. Some of the things that they would like to see that we can kind of consider is additional food options came up. Performances for families and kids when we kind of suggestions like a magician, a balloon artist, or jugglers, having charities or local events and clubs attend, and inflatables was another thing that was brought up. So those might be all things that we might want to consider and look at as we move forward in the new year of planning Canada, as some of these things would be things we would have to secure vendors for and stuff in advance. Yes, Councillor Cox.
Yeah, through the chair, just a general statement. If any our constituents are watching, this is the importance of completing the surveys, because it's hard to gauge what the community really wants to see at these events when technically only 3 people participated in the survey, right? So for us to gauge on 3 people's opinions, that's not enough supportive data for any sort of concise decision to be made.
Yeah, so yeah, it was kind of a little bit disappointing. We were hoping to get some more feedback and some ideas shared from our community to how that we can best support and build future events. One of the questions that we did have was, would you be interested in attending other events throughout the year? And if any suggestions, so things that they were brought up was music in the park, a movie night, a farmer's event, if there's just possibly having one event, a historical tour, and then music in the park was brought up again, suggesting like having it as smaller community events, gathering at local parks. So that was feedback that was typed in of ideas shared. So hopefully our movie night will be something that will be well attended as another opportunity for families to come together in our township. Yes, Councillor Cox.
Through the chair, on a more positive note, we didn't receive any complaints. So we got to be doing something right in our Canada Day celebrations, because with no complaints, and the amount of people that attended, even if they didn't fill out the survey, I know they had a good time.
Yeah, that's another good way to look at it as well.
Yeah, to the chair. Yeah, that's what I was gonna. You pretty much took my words right out of me. If there was no, if there wasn't much feedback to begin with, that also can tell us that, or we can assume that things were okay. They were happy, they were satisfied with what with what they seen. That they didn't really have to complain or give their remark, as long as more say the expectation is to be, from what they experienced, they were satisfied with that. And they expect the same thing perhaps next year as well.
That's a good way to think about it too, when you look at that side, because yeah, we could have had a lot of possibly negative feedback of things that we needed to improve. So that's a positive. Now we'll move to, I guess kind of blends right into it, is the Canada Day event was listed here as a separate item. So again, this was we've kind of talked about it a little bit. So, and again, it's hard to make major changes. And I think like last year was kind of implementing one new thing or 1 or 2 things that would be to add to it to enhance the event. I know it's a little early on, but is there anything that you think that would be maybe a great addition this year that we might want to consider planning for? Yes, Councillor Cox.
Well, by looking at the kite festival that happened at the township building, it seems like the food trucks were well received. And I know I did hear I heard the odd little comment, not a complaint, because I had a pizza people are wondering where to get it or if I could give them some. Right. So I think some more food would be beneficial, food truck. And as long as you get more than just one, your lineups shouldn't be significant. If we just got one, then yeah, it's a write-off. But if you're able to bring in a few, I think that'd be really well received.
What were some of the food trucks that they did have at the Kite Festival and how many did they actually have?
I don't know the companies they had there, but I know they had a few. But I don't think the attendance was as big as Canada Day,
Okay.
right? So I just know that like being there and not really having any food available, even for like, because the kids are there for so long, right? You buy them some fries or something. As a parent, I know it buys time. Okay, buys time. You tell them to eat it slowly, right? And then it's a little bit more manageable when some of these kids get rambunctious and they're just kind of waiting for the main display and they've already maxed themselves out on all the activities that are there.
No, I
So
think
they gotta
that's
sit down
good.
and eat.
And I kind of like the idea of still like still offering the free food as well, like having that option that they
Yes.
still get something. And then this is an additional thing if you want to go beyond.
And like we give them their treat, their main meal can,
Correct.
Yeah.
or a healthier snack can come from the food trucks, right?
I know there was a comment about the cotton candy that it was indicated that that was a nice addition. The only thing they said that it got really busy and there was the lineup. So then they had mentioned about the food trucks that'd be help, like if we were given many options, just like you were saying. So then there's less lineups or not as
Yes.
congested.
Yeah, cotton candy was a nice addition. I think,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, we're doing it for the youth, the young uh, people in this township. So, and that's what the whole celebration, we try to aim to make sure they have a good time. And the cotton candy, I think they really did enjoy.
Mhm. And it was nice that it was another free option, that it was kind
Hmm.
of like a bonus addition. So that was nice. And if we can kind of work out something like that again, I think that's positive. And then we'll have our extra food options. Like you said, they can have their main course and whatnot, and that will help to put in some of that time too. Anything else that we may want to consider that would be bigger items that we would need to kind of plan for? I did like the idea. I know we talked about it last year, but we kind of ran out of time to be able to find, or we had a harder time finding, was like a magician or a balloon artist or a juggler. I think it was you, Councillor Cox, you kind of looked into some options. It'd be neat to have some type of performance or something that it could break up some of the time for them.
Yeah, street performer, and
Yeah.
I believe someone else on the committee had a good idea for that. Maybe next year they'll be able to run with. Knowing where to find them, because I had a hard time finding like where to look for street performers, right?
And I guess that would be something too that would be booking, like that will book up quickly because different townships have different events and people might go back to certain things. So it might be kind of looking into like where that options is, or like, can we ask out on social media to kind of like I guess it'd be more under our personal accounts or whatnot to just kind of have some options that we could look into. Because I'm not too sure about where to start with that.
I think Shannon knew where it was.
Okay, so maybe that's something
I
in,
remember them mentioning about like a specific place to go look. I think it was on social media somewhere. And I could have imagined it too. We don't know.
yeah, so maybe that will be something at like our next meeting that we can kind of maybe touch base with and see, kind of look at what are some of those options, and then maybe kind of decide how many food trucks, what kind of thing, and maybe put out some feelers to see, because again, I think people start booking in advance, or they go back to certain municipalities and stuff. So it'd be nice to be able to secure or be able to have those connections. And then I guess even just considering like where do we want to go with the band and that kind of thing, because I think people really enjoyed the live music and that kind of thing, so that we can secure that stuff so we're not scrambling, and then that's stuff that we can kind of build out and advertise sooner and earlier if we have that. I think that was really well received, the music. Any other comments or suggestions at this point? I know it's a little early on. Okay, seeing none, we'll move to item number 7, which is new business. Seeing that there is no new business, we'll proceed to item number 8, which is adjournment. I now declare this meeting adjourned at 6:21 p.m.